I'm so shocked they've not called Sean in to be the third Doctor, because he doesn't necessarily sound like his dad, but he looks so much like him, and also it's his kid, so everyone will give it a pass. Anyway, that was just...
Has this been an idea that you've had for a while, Zach?
I mean, as soon as I saw that picture, it was.
Jeez.
It was a picture of him dressed as the third Doctor for Halloween, and it's so good.
I have no opinions on this matter.
Fair enough.
This is a hill that I'm at the bottom looking up at you going, I'm just glad you're having a good time, bud.
Hope you like it up on that hill. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Who Is My Doctor?
Who is my doctor?
Who is indeed. I'm your host, Zach, and I know a lot about Doctor Who.
And I'm also your host, Cassie, and I do not know a lot about Doctor Who.
And today we're going all the way back to Season 8.
Whoosh! We're jumping in our own TARDIS and going through space and time.
Not Series 8, which we're still coming up to. Season 8. Episode 1... Story 1, because really episodes 1 through 4. Terror of the Autons.
No. No.
Cassie was not excited when she heard it was Terror of the Autons.
No, please. No, thank you. Let's get back in our TARDIS and go back to where we are currently.
So the reason I went back and forth on which story to show you, because I really wanted to pick one from the Third Doctor's era, because I feel like the Third Doctor is going to be one you like a lot, because if you want 70s cheese, oh boy.
Did you know I ate 70s cheese once? it was called Pharaoh Gouda or Mummy Gouda, but it was a Gouda cheese that had aged for 30 years, and this was back in the early aughts.
Wow. How was it?
Delicious. It was so...
Can you say it in a way that makes me believe that it was delicious?
I'm trying to figure out, because I'm genuinely talking about cheese now. 70s cheese, which is not something that I thought I would ever bring up. That's a little fun fact for you. There was a show on when I was a child called Curiosity Quest, and one of the episodes had the host, going to this particular creamery that was in, I forget, it was some part of nearby California. We'll just call it that. And the way that he made it look like it was this big, glorious, like cavernous warehouse full of lots of cheese that you could try. It was literally just a trailer that had the cheese and another trailer that had a room that talked about the cheese. And it is one of my favorite memories, because I remember as a kid going, wow, this is lackluster. Thank God we got this cheese. And then my mom and aunt being severely disappointed, so then we drove to like an organic farmer's market store, and they had those cat bottles of wine that I thought were awfully cool. This is so far off topic. The cheese was delicious though. It was really hard, kind of crumbly, because it was super fucking dry.
I love that inside.
I liked the smoked cheese the best, though.
I can't help but feel like you're trying to avoid us getting to the Autons by talking about actual cheese.
No.
So what I mean when I say this, this Doctor.
I would never. Me avoiding watching and experiencing Autons again.
Well, so here's the funny thing about the Autons. What you saw was the first time that they had come back was in the new series. This was the last time they had shown up in the old series. So there was a good 6-Doctor gap between the 3rd Doctor to the 9th Doctor where there were no Autons.
6th Doctor, where did they go?
So when I say 70s cheese, what I mean is...
You did not mean the Mummy Gouda.
I did not mean Mummy Gouda. What I meant was the 3rd Doctor...
It was called Mummy Gouda. Mummy Gouda.
So the
Zach,
third Doctor...
I'm not being distracted by 70s cheese to avoid watching the 70s cheese. I just don't think you're understanding Mummy Gouda.
So the third Doctor...
it's not working.
If you recall, in our last classic adventure, you didn't get to see the classic series TARDIS.
No.
Well, that will continue today because the third Doctor spends his first couple of seasons stranded on Earth.
Well, we're seeing a 3D model of the
yes,
TARDIS.
you do get a good 3D model
silver.
of it. But and
red and blue.
At the end of the second Doctor's run, the second Doctor had been punished by the Time Lords to be stranded on Earth. So basically, he's given his TARDIS, but his TARDIS does not work. And it was definitely not done for budgetary reasons. And anyone who tells you it was done for budgetary reasons is a liar and a communist.
I'm thinking it was because of budgetary reasons.
Yes, because this was also the first Doctor to be in color. The first two Doctors were strictly in black and white. In fact, the third Doctor only has, I think, one story that's not in color, and that's just because the color footage is lost.
Oh, I thought you meant it was because he was wearing color.
No, this was the first Doctor to be in color. I don't need to go over too many things with him because this story actually introduces a lot of concepts for me. That's part of the reason I picked it, because I didn't want to have you sit here and have me explain this whole concept to you.
I would just also like to comment on the title screen of the Blu-ray DVD in which we were watching. They have the third Doctor in the corner, and then in front of him are other little, like, it's a vignette of villains. There's a horrible little guy right up in front. And I am so distracted by this menace. It's not even that big. Maybe the size of a thumb.
Because especially at the size he's at, it does sort of look like it's a puppet.
Well, that's the thing, is I'm like, all right, there's these other hairy sort of puppet-looking monsters. I can get behind that. Those are just beasts. And then a guy. I hate the guy, but I hate all guys.
He's a man.
Nazi-looking motherfucker.
If you want to see this image for yourself, this is also the cover on the Season 8 Blu-ray set. So if you want to look that up for yourself, that's where you can find it.
If we were smart, we would post it onto our socials.
Well, I'll just say it's very freely available.
I'm just saying that as a note to Instagram publicist Cass. Get your shit together.
The only thing I really need to introduce you to, I think, is because the third Doctor did not travel in his TARDIS for his first couple of seasons, he had an expanded cast of allied characters that were not just his direct companion. These were the United Nations Intelligence Task Force, or UNIT.
Sure.
UNIT has since dropped the United Nations part in modern series, probably because the UK left the UN. I don't know why I mixed up the UN with the EU, but that's what happened there. They probably dropped the United Nations bit just to avoid the politics of it. I meant the European Union. I was just riffing. Back to the episode. So now they're just the Unified Intelligence Task Force. But in this series, it is the United Nations Intelligence Task Force, led by one of the longest-running characters in Doctor Who history, Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. Or, as you will just hear him called a lot, the Brigadier.
What does Brigadier mean?
It's a military rank.
Aha! Okay.
So he's part of the United Nations military, specifically part of this intelligence task force that basically deals with supernatural stuff. They deal with aliens, they deal with magic, but mostly they deal with aliens.
So Men in Black?
They're sort of the Men in Black, but they're less cool.
So Men in Black if everybody was just white?
Men in Black if everybody was British. Like very stiff upper lip kind of British.
Men in Black without Will Smith.
And so when I say cheese, I will tell you, like I said, the Doctor is stranded on Earth, so he doesn't have the TARDIS. Instead, he has a car, and his car's name is Bessie.
That's a name for a dairy cow. And then cars that look vaguely like dairy cows.
This particular series introduces his new companion, Joe Grant, who is basically the original Rose Tyler. Not in the falling in love with the doctor way, but in the young, wide-eyed, blonde, kind of dumb way.
Aww.
And I don't mean that to insult Jo. The running joke for her is that she's kind of dumb. I don't need to introduce too much of her, though, because she will be introduced in this episode. So let's maybe instead focus on the Cassie Rafassi for this little chunk of this little story.
For anybody counting at home, I only have 35 out of 66 because of the last time Zach denied me a point. Which point that was, I don't remember. I just remember thinking about how deeply I deserve it.
Well, so let's start off with the Autons here.
Nasty.
So all you really got to see...
Nasty boys.
All you really got to see in the new series was various forms of mannequin. You got to see them as...
I got to see them thick, meaty hands.
Yeah, they had thick necks and they were mannequins, and the only other form you really saw them in was a
trash can.
You saw a trash can, and then you saw just a single hand. Like there was no mannequin attached to it. It was just the arm. That was what you saw in the new series.
Were the Santas also Autons, or am I making that up?
No, the Santas were robots. They were just wearing costumes. I could see how you'd mix that up, though, because it had a very similar feel.
They scared me in the same way.
Here, though, the Autons also have a couple mannequin appearances, but they also show up in at least 3 other forms.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to let you guess also 3 forms for them, and if any of the ones you guess are right, you will get the point.
Excluding trash can?
Excluding mannequin. I will also just tell you trash can is not one of them.
Okay. May I ask a technical question?
Sure.
Are they always plastic?
Yes, it specifically controls plastic, but that plastic, because like in form of trash can, in form of hand, it doesn't need to be in a humanoid form.
Well, no, but that does whittle down, sort of.
Actually, I'm remembering a 4th way now. They show up in 4 different ways, so I'll let you guess 4 ways.
See, here's the thing. In my head, I went, okay, plastic. That should be easy. But this is also the 70s. That shit's everywhere.
That shit is everywhere.
A chair. A chair, but circle shape.
We could just say chair. If either one's chair, it's fine.
Can I say furniture just to cheat?
Sure, okay, we'll say furniture.
Furniture. Fuck.
Because if it's like a couch, I feel like I would also count it as a chair.
Okay, so furniture. Fireplace. No, that's a horrible thing to be made out of plastic. Yikes.
You were just stuck on F's.
I suddenly don't know what anything is. Because I'm really glomming on to furnishings. So furniture in the sitting capacity, furniture in the lighting capacity.
Okay, I'll work with it. So we'll say some kind of thing to sit on, some kind of lighting.
I'll say chair is the blanket term, but if it is a couch, you will still give me the point.
Yeah.
I have your word on that?
Yes, you have my word on that.
So just for ease.
Or if it's like an ottoman, I'll count that too. I'm not gonna... Yeah.
So we'll say, just for ease, a chair.
Okay.
A lamp.
Okay.
Fuck, what else would be made out of plastic? Like a toy?
You could say a toy. Like a doll.
I'll say toy.
Okay.
Like a Talkie Tina.
Like a Talkie Tina.
I'm earnestly looking around our own house to see what we have that's made out of plastic. Turns out, not much. We're like super eco-friendly. Dishware, like a cup or a plate.
Okay.
But I'm going to say dishware because I'm cheating.
Dishware's open. Because I feel like you would feel cheated if you guessed a cup and it was a plate. So Cassie believes that the Autons show up in the form of a chair, a toy, a lamp, and dishware in this episode.
A cup.
And then the second one, this story introduces another Time Lord. Another named Time Lord. Because you saw one in Genesis of the Daleks. But that's the only one you've seen and he didn't have a name. This one has a name, and as the Doctor is named after a doctorate, this one is named the Master. Named after a master's degree. And I would like you to tell me what you think the Master is like. And you could be kind of broad here. You could like good, bad, how, like what kind of good, what kind of bad.
This whole time I've been thinking, Doctor, when, where?
Doctor how?
Who, what, when, where, and why?
Doctor. Why don't you tell me what you think the Master is like?
Master. Well, if I remember correctly, the other Time Lords were huge nerds. at least the Doctor is like kind of cool in the broadest sense. Because I feel like the Master could either also be like, this guy's got drip, or this guy's never ever been laid. It's one or the other.
Which do you feel is true, or which one do you want to be true?
You know what? Just because my brain so loud but so quiet whispered Rizz Master. I'm gonna say this guy's a Rizz Master.
All right, so you think he's very charismatic?
No, I say he's a Rizz Master.
All right, Rizz Master got the drip that you will respect, Karen. All right, so let's find out as we watch Terror of the Autons what forms the Autons come in this story, and if you have to respect the Master's drip as we watch Terror of the Autons.
I'm not looking forward to them. This week's episode of Who's My Doctor is brought to you by our vampire benefactor. And to talk to you a little bit more about our vampire benefactor is, you guessed it, our vampire benefactor. Take it away!
And we are back from Terror of the Autons.
No. No, thank you.
I had wondered if their voice would
return to sender.
I had wondered if their voices would scratch the same itch as the Daleks, but I guess not.
Here's the thing. It did in a way that I super didn't like. It reminded me a little bit of Dalek Khan.
Dalek Khan at the beginning of the where Nicholas Briggs had to like deepen his voice for the Dalek.
Yeah, where it was
versions of this city said throughout history.
Yeah, it was something where Brain liked it, but also Brain hated it.
It scratched too hard.
It to the point where, kind of like when you're scratching Bailey on her butt in a spot that she's like really, really enjoying, to the point where she's gonna start biting your hand. That was me punching the air. Well,
let's first say you get both of your Cassie Professy points today.
Woohoo!
In fact, one you hit dead on the head with the
Rizz Master.
Well, the Rizz Master for sure. I was going to say that the Auton was a chair. Like, you just said chair, and it was a chair.
Was a chair and was a toy.
Yeah, but then the second you saw the Master, I heard you audibly go, "Oh my God." Because that is the Master, played by Roger Delgado, which, first of all, what a great name Roger Delgado is. Second only to his actual full legal name.
What's his full legal government name?
Let me make sure I get it here, because it's quite a bit. Hang on. His full name is Roger Cesar Marius Bernard de Delgado Torres Castillo Roberto.
Oh my God.
I think it's half the cast of Planet of the Apes in his name. Yes, but he was professionally known as Roger Delgado. He played the Master for all of so every story this season, the Master was the bad guy.
Because he's stuck on Earth.
Yeah, he's stuck on Earth. But he was also a recurring villain for the Third Doctor. Tragically, Roger Delgado died in 1973 in a car accident. So that was as far as he could go as the Master.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame. You were correct. He is absolutely the Drip King.
Oh my
From his first outfit, perfect. Then he gets a suit and he's got like a golden tie, but it's like perfectly fitted and nicely pressed. Like he just shows up and you're like, I can't tell if you're hypnotizing people or if your charisma's so maxed out.
Well, because it was charisma not in the traditional like, hey, pretty lady. it was the like, I have respect for you. Just immediate. You needn't say a word. You have my respect.
Well, let's maybe talk about a little bit about our doctor here, John Pertwee.
You mean not Steed Bonnet?
They do have a very similar.
Good Lord.
With the velvet attire and the puffy shirts.
It was specifically the like, I don't know how to say this polite, like the bouncy blonde hair, just the poof of blonde fuzz.
Which is funny because I think he actually has gray hair. But
I
I think it's a graying blonde.
Yeah. Even if it is gray, it is not the like salt and pepper gray hair.
Yeah.
It's
not full white.
It's very fair.
Yeah. But John Pertwee was who played the third Doctor. He got to play it as sort of a, like I said, his primary setting, especially early on, was a military setting where he gets a lot of like gadgets, and now he's got this arch enemy in the Master. So he was a very like James Bondy kind of Doctor. He was the one that I don't remember. I said a few episodes back that the Doctor knows Venusian kung fu. And this was the Doctor it came from. He would like do a barrel roll. He would do like a barrel roll. Yeah, he would do a roll out of a bus, or like to get out of the way. Like he was doing a lot of like very professional stunt like moves, especially compared to Joe, who just kind of like flailed about. So what did you think of?
Speaking of stunts, though, so many stunts in this show. I'm talking people rolling down hills, being eaten by chairs, attacked by phone cords. Yeah. Stunts galore.
If I'm being honest, the second a man was eaten by a chair, that's when I went, Cassie might like this one.
It was specifically just the way he went, as he's making the chair attack himself. That I thought was very silly.
So, what did you think of John Pertwee's Doctor? How did his vibes go with you, especially compared to his successor, the Fourth Doctor?
I had a little bit of an issue oh my god. I had a little bit of an issue right out the gate, just with pacing, because I did not understand that they were at a plastic factory and then an army base. I thought they were all in the same area.
Okay.
So it took me a minute to understand that the Doctor was actively living on the military base as the scientific consultant.
Yes.
And so all of the other Brigadier and the
Captain
other
Yates
officials that were coming in are kind of like pseudo companions.
I think the Brigadier might be the only person that would be considered a companion that never flies in the TARDIS.
Okay.
Especially because he has some interaction with every Doctor from... He first shows up in the second Doctor. He goes through every single classic Doctor. He obviously missed 9. There's, I think, an episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures where he interacts with either 10 or 11. I can't remember exactly right now, but he is the longest running companion, but never once flew in the TARDIS. But I feel like everyone would consider the Brigadier specifically a companion.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, he started off... He wasn't even a Brigadier when you first meet him. You watch him get promoted to this character with the second Doctor. But yes, when you first meet the third Doctor, I did see you get a little excited because he was singing, I don't want to set the world on fire.
Which I know is a very popular song because of Fallout.
Yes, that was before. This is before
I know,
that time,
I know. That's what I'm trying to get to that, sir, because I am not hip with the kids. So when I heard that song for the first time, it was because I was listening to a 40s playlist on Spotify, and I love it because I remembered hearing it once upon a time long ago, maybe in a previous life. I don't know, but it was one of those things that struck such a distinct chord. So now whenever I hear it, I don't have the Fallout association. I have the memory of me hearing it for the first time after not having heard it for a very long time. Since the Doctor was singing it, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I also adore this little green shirt.
Oh, Joe
wears.
Grant's outfit.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like the outfits in general for this season. Like, the military outfits are obviously what they are, but there's something very,
but
like...
there is still something in their cunty little, like... their little, like, belts.
Hello, I'm Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, here to serve cunt today.
No, because they have these belts that are around the blazers.
Oh, yeah,
They're cunty little belts. Like, I don't use that term lightly, but I mean it in it because Doctor is giving Dr. Vamp, very vampy.
I could see that.
Which is weird for the Doctor, I think.
I almost feel like he's giving like a magician vibe.
Yes, it's the specificity of the red velvet.
Yeah, the
red silk with the like blue black velvet.
Yeah, he's got this like
tuxedo, the like tuxedo ruffle, but with the over exaggerated 70s like pointed collar. Mm-hmm. It's giving Vamp.
Yes, he's got a very like flamboyant look, and what's surprising is like how well you can still get the texture of his outfit off of a 1970s TV show.
Well, there was only some times that we were watching this, and it's specifically when they were either up against a green screen, everybody had the cute little blue halo, or if they're outside and the camera quality shifts.
Yeah, it just wasn't prepared to pick up daylight the way it picks up artificial light.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the character of the Third Doctor a little bit. He's
childish.
He is definitely...
He enjoys being childish.
Yeah, he's definitely childish. He seems particularly just annoyed with everyone else around him, that they are not as smart as him, that they are kind of getting in the way of him thinking. How did you feel about him, especially compared to Tom Baker's Fourth Doctor?
I would be more upset if I didn't love the fact that he's fucking stuck. And I think that's why it works. It works as well as it does is because he really is kind of at the mercy of others, particularly this army base, for being so generous as to let him set up an entire lab, not in an office or a room. It's seemingly the entire floor that the Doctor is occupying.
He definitely has like his lab, but then he's also got his TARDIS in there, which, you know, if you ignore the fact that at some point you can see the other wall inside the TARDIS, you could assume that it just opens up to the rest of his TARDIS.
Yeah.
That is one kind of funny thing about, you know, the modern series versus the classic series, is that the modern series works very, very hard to hide the fact that the TARDIS is not just a little box. The classic series did not have the effects to make that happen all the time.
There's a moment where he physically walks into the TARDIS to replace the core?
The dematerialization circuit.
Yeah. But he's still talking to people outside of the TARDIS, and I just have such a clear image of the Doctor standing with his arms like out of camera shot, screaming.
Just like yelling at a wall.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, that image is very funny to me.
And this technically is a spoiler, but I don't know if we'll ever get to it. One of my favorite lines they ever make John Pertwee deliver is where he finally gets his TARDIS to dematerialize, but he finds that the Time Lords have programmed it so that whenever it dematerializes, it teleports right back again. So even now he's fixed it, it's still broken. But his way of describing it is...
It seems that I'm some kind of a galactic yo-yo.
It's one of the greatest line deliveries in all of Doctor Who. I really felt like you would like Pertwee. He feels like that kind of like camp that you enjoy.
He was a little bit of a brat.
Yes.
Which I love a good brat.
Yes.
It was specifically as the Brigadier knocking on his door. Or no, it's Joe. It's Joanne, the Brigadier, knocking on his door, and he goes, "Not today, thank you." Not today, thank you.
I don't need any tea.
Yeah. It's like, I really, really love that. Because they also do it in The Hobbit as well, when Gandalf is reintroducing himself to Bilbo. He's just like, thank you, good morning. Like, no, thank you, good morning. Are you wishing me a good morning, or you dismissing me with a good morning? Like, it's that same idea of, like, I'm being polite, get fucked.
I'm being very nice right now, motherfucker. I do like that he is, especially compared to our modern, like, David Tennant Doctor, who is, you know, visibly quite young compared to Jon Pertwee. John definitely feels like he's playing it more like a child.
He definitely has the same, like, I'm sure that you experienced these kids, not autistics, but they were the kids in the gifted sections of the classroom that were, like, so much smarter than everybody else and so fast at getting their homework done. And, oh, it took you 2 hours to do the math homework. It only took me 20 minutes. I was not one of those kids. It took me for fucking ever because I had ADHD and I didn't know. So, but he has the same energy as one of those kids that is acting way more mature than they are, because they're 8 and 10-year-olds in the advanced learning classes. It's like this doctor felt like that is you know, a 10-year-old taking a high school level math class and just being like, I'm the smartest person here. I'm waiting for my mom.
Yeah, and to my understanding, Jon Pertwee also was just like a really cool dude.
He seems like it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some story about him I haven't heard, because as they alluded to at the beginning of this episode, his previous companion was just kind of written off the show as Joe Grant just kind of walks in. His previous companion was a scientist by the name of Liz Shaw. They mention her briefly at the beginning of the story. She's left now, Doctor, and this is your new companion. It's basically exactly how she's introduced. They don't really explain much more than that. They just sort of say, like, and she's gone now. Here's the new one. So I don't know if the actress who played Liz and Jon Pertwee didn't get along, or if they just didn't like Liz Shaw anymore and they wanted to write somebody else in. I have since checked. She left the show because she was pregnant. There was no drama. But I will say, to my knowledge, everyone seemed to like working with Pertwee.
Okay.
Now,
I will say, so I am pleased as punch that I got furniture correct. And never did I think that it was going to be an inflatable chair. Frankly, TBH, I thought that was a 90s thing. I didn't realize that we had inflatable furniture as early as the 1970s.
Especially inflatable furniture that inflates with a snap.
Yeah. And that is cold to the touch.
Cold and clammy, you know, the way plastic should be.
The one thing I absolutely hated, and I really, really want to like him, but I cannot because he's too stupid to love. Mm-hmm. That terrible, awful little devil plastic, solid plastic toy that moves like a dummy. Yeah, no, not moves like a dummy. That's a real thing. I wrote in my notes, moves like a dork.
Yeah, he moves like a baby because he's got big legs. Like it's supposed to be it's clearly like a person in a suit, but the suit has been proportioned out so that when he stands up, he has to waddle a little bit.
Oh my god, this poor fool.
Poor toy with its full diaper.
No, this poor actor that's having to turtle roll themselves onto their front so they can run and waddle around.
And then they also had, obviously,
it's a novelty toy meant for adults. And it's like, I do know quite a few people that if you found that and gave that to them, they would say, my son. At long last, I've been reunited with my boy, my child. I birthed him. But, ooh.
Yes, it's a plot point that it's quite ugly, which is just kind of confusing as to, I mean, obviously the master is just kind of fucked up, but it is just kind of weird. He'd be like, make me a toy that's very ugly, make it very, very ugly, give it stupid teeth and make it waddle around like a little penguin.
Give him cow eyes.
Give him cow eyes and vampire teeth.
But just the bottom teeth and a little beard goatee.
And make
He's
it so
got
that
bad facial shape.
Make it so that when you shoot him, his head pops off.
Yeah, his head pops off, his arm and leg snap off, and then he's speared right to the center.
Which is funny because, like, it's still plastic, And it clearly doesn't need to be in like full humanoid shape.
No.
As evidenced by one of the things that the Auton takes the form of is just a plastic phone cable and just lassos around the doctor. I love the face he's making though, like what his eyes are like popping out as he's like having to pretend that he's being strangled by a phone cord.
I did like that a lot. Is it that the Auton just can't get cold?
So
then why are they in London? It's like one of the chilliest places. Take them down to like Costa Rica.
Yeah, the Autons were activated by heat.
Yeah. Take those bitches to the equator.
Or they were activated by various different things. Some of them were like the little doll was activated by heat. But then
take them to the equator.
The daffodils and the phone cable were both activated by radio signals. That was how the phone cable got activated, when he was getting a little thing in the phone.
Yeah, he's wiggling it in the mouthpiece.
You're going to die, Doctor. I'm sorry. Are you? The phone sounds like it's ringing again. Oh God, I'm getting strangled.
What a good funny bit.
Were these Autons better or worse for you than the last ones?
I don't know, because there is a part of me that did like their yellow getup. Scary. Very scary.
Yeah, the things that you specifically pointed out is I hate these fucking little things, and that's exactly what was coming up in this episode.
Now, it did give it. They were serving Jordan Peele.
Yeah, there's something very. I don't know what even movie it would be exactly, but there is some very like almost classic horror about it, because it is like a ventriloquist dump, like because they have this like.
Now, I did clock that at one point one of them was strangling the doctor without his gloves on, because I think that was the saving grace for me this time, is that they were not wearing gloves to look like they didn't have anything on. Mm-hmm. They were wearing gloves specifically to cover their human hands. So you're just tapping into an actual fear I have of masked figures and being unable to see people's faces. Mm-hmm. So being able to see actual human hands, helpful, but did disrupt the illusion quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it was visible in the 70s,
no,
because the screens were a lot smaller.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we also have our companion Joe Grant, who is arguably the second or third most iconic classic series companion. Sort of depending on how you measure it, because I'm sure some people will like Jamie McCrimmon more. Some people might like Ace more, but I think Sarah Jane is pretty indisputably the number one icon.
She got her own adventures.
Yeah, she got to come back. She got her spinoff. But Joe also came back in the Sarah Jane Adventures. Okay. So she also came back very recently for an episode of the show. So Joe definitely has her fans indisputably. How did you feel about our little blonde dummy here?
She's cute.
Yeah, she works as a good foil to the Doctor, because she's like clearly not very smart, but she's way better with people.
I wouldn't even argue that she's not smart. Well, I guess she does say that she took a science class, and she didn't say she passed.
Yeah, she's like, I took A-levels in science. I didn't say I passed them.
But she put in a good effort.
Yeah, and like I said, she's very clearly, like, her benefit is that she's good with people. Like, the Doctor is like annoyed that everyone's around all the time, and so that's why the Doctor's like, can you please call them, because they will be mad with me.
She reminds me of like a dachshund in that way. Just very much like, oh, you're not really good at being a dog, are you? But
you're not very good at being a dog.
But you're so cute. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's a perfect segue into our new favorite game, Zach.
What's the game, Cassie?
It's Who is Your Doctor?
Arf, arf.
Yeah. Who is my doctor?
Who is my doctor indeed?
Woof woof.
So, did you have any strong...
I've decided in this moment, Joe, dachshund, 100%.
Okay.
This isn't about the companions, though. But I'm trying to think, like, if Joe is a dachshund, then what is a good foil to a dachshund?
Okay. Almost like, what's a dog that needs another dog?
Yeah. Like a cheetah in the zoo.
Because
did you know that, though, that some cheetahs get so anxious that the zoos have to get them their own emotional support dogs?
I did not know that. That's very cute.
Yeah. Because they're super anxious and they get really skittish and scared. And so they'll get them their own golden retrievers that are their little special friends, because cheetahs aren't like violent.
So let's think a little bit about what the traits of Pertwee that we've seen so far. We've got this like, I'm so much smarter than everyone else here sort of attitude. Mm-hmm. Also, we've also got this like fancy coat with his like ruffles and his velvet.
So definitely has to be a dog that you need to take to the groomers.
Mm-hmm. And we also know that he definitely needs somebody around, otherwise he will piss everyone off.
So like a long-haired kind of bratty dog. Mm-hmm. Like maybe an Afghan hound.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because they're kind of snooty, but... or, honestly, I'm also trying to think of, like, perhaps a sheepdog, or not sheepdog, but some kind of herding dog, like a collie, like a Shetland sheepdog, something like that.
I was actually looking at collies, too, when you had said that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like a collie might be...
If for no other reason than the sheer number of people in the doctor's entourage. But he doesn't keep people around. He does actively push people away and say, no, I don't. This is something I can do by myself.
Yes.
I don't want you coming around. And sheepdogs and other herding dogs are notorious for, no, everybody stay in the same room all the time, always. Or Panko. Mm-hmm. There have been times where I'll be over at Samantha's.
Panko is a friend's dog, just so you all know.
Panko is a mutt. He looks like a giant Pomeranian. He's not a Pomeranian whatsoever. He does have herding dog somewhere in his lineage. So anytime that you get up and leave the room, he will chase after you and start biting at your ankles to get you back in the room where everybody else is. He does not want you to leave. Mm-hmm. That is not the case for this dogter.
So you've said sheepdog quite a lot. Is that where you're leaning, or?
Yes and no, because they like to keep everybody together, and it's a dog that thinks that it's fine on its own, but it is not. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say another small dog, but almost thinking like a Yorkie.
Okay. I'm also looking at Maltese.
Or like a Pomeranian.
Pomeranian's kind of funny.
Like a dog
I'm trying to picture the third Doctor being carried around in a purse. Put me down. What are you doing? I don't want to be in here.
There are unusually large Pomeranians, I've learned. Somebody came into the cafe with one the other day, and I went, your dog is a rock star. And that dog's name was also Panko. And I went, oh my God. All of these not Pomeranians being Panko. I'm also forgetting how many dogs there are. Because I do like the idea of a longer haired dog that you need to take to the groomer. Mm-hmm. Like, I do like that. Maybe a husky.
Okay.
You know what? Because there are dogs that do pitch a fit when they're not getting their way. Mm-hmm. They actively scream if they are not getting what they want, but you need to take them to the groomer to get deshed. Because otherwise you have hair fucking everywhere. They are not dogs meant for hot weather. And people take them, keep them in hot weather all the time, the poor beasts. But yeah, can be on their own, but do much better when they're around other dogs, because then they can fucking get stuff done and run around and beat each other up. And I think... weirdly enough, I might go with husky.
Husky? Okay. I liked when we landed on, like, collie. I feel like a border collie feels appropriate.
Or like an Irish setter.
Yeah, something like that. Some kind of like hunting dog that work better in packs than it thinks it will. However, the artist that I'm going to credit them again. T. Kyron is her name on DeviantArt, and
their name.
They chose to make John Pertwee, ironically enough, a sheepdog. As we discussed multiple times.
Okay.
A little sheepdog in a bow tie.
I did kind of land on sheepdog.
I think, like I said, I'm pretty sure this artist is also...
They're going based solely off of aesthetics.
Yeah, or at least they're leaning into the aesthetic, if nothing else. So why don't I throw you another little bone here? No pun intended. What kind of dog?
Woof.
What kind of dog do you think the master is?
Oh my God, Chihuahua.
A Chihuahua?
Yeah,
Okay. What made you think Chihuahua?
just Chihuahua.
Surprised it's not a Mastiff.
No, Chihuahua. Come on, a little guy who's just...
Is the master now also just a little guy?
Oh my God. Well, just think about Lottie. Mm-hmm. Lottie is my sister's dog. For those of you listening at home, she's great. She's also the worst dog I've ever met. The number of times you have to yell at her and smack her little butt to get her to stop licking her damn paws. That's the master. Hey, stop hypnotizing people. Stop it.
No, doctor, I shall lick my paws as much as I like.
Exactly.
Watch me as I lick my paws in front of you now. I shall taunt you with the way I lick my paws.
Don't rub your butt on the floor.
All right. Well, that was the segment. Who is my dogter?
Woof.
But as we're talking about the master, how did you like? We talked a little bit about like the way he walked in with like Drip King, Rizz King.
Like that guy fucks.
Yeah. Roger Delgado definitely fucks. How did you feel about the master in general?
I like that he's a good foil.
He is, especially because they established that he's kind of smarter than the doctor, but a lot of his plans are kind of dumb.
Well, because his plans also come solely from the fact that he knows how to hypnotize people.
So here's the thing. Technically speaking, all Time Lords can hypnotize people. The doctor just chooses not to.
Wow. Because the doctor's a good man.
Yeah, it's just something the Time Lords have this field about them that they can use that really only the Master does it. Just because it's a bad guy thing to do.
What about the other Time Lord that just kind of blinks in, camera zooms up close enough to the doctor to be within talking distance, and then just kind of blinks away?
I enjoy that he still gets TARDIS sounds, even though he was just like poofing into existence.
I didn't know that that Time Lords could travel TARDIS-less.
I mean, maybe if they're very, very special. I have to assume, and this I'm going to get deep into the weeds here a little bit with you on some lore.
Oh no.
At the end of the second Doctor's last story,
Just gonna get comfortable.
Introduced a piece of technology called a side rat, which is TARDIS spelled backwards. And that one has the ability to just move things around as opposed to being a thing that you stand in. It's TARDIS spelled backwards, and that's also just because it's a reverse TARDIS. I would assume that's how they did that, is they used a side rat.
That's stupid.
It is, but it's also, is it any more stupid than him being teleported into the middle of the air and being, oh, it appears my coordinates were off. Hang on, let me fix this. And it's just the green screen gets zoomed in on.
No, he gets zoomed in on.
Yeah.
He physically, he doesn't even make any movements like he is moving closer, which I wouldn't really expect you to. I mean, I guess maybe if you're...
You would expect, like, maybe the wind to rustle across him as he moved forward or something like that.
Yeah, no, nothing happened.
Yeah, no, because he just stands still.
And then also, I was going back and forth with myself, and I'll rope you into this narrative as well. Were the two actors in the same room with each other at all?
Yes, yeah, they definitely were for at least a little bit of it. I mean, in that first moment where he's on green screen, no, definitely not. But after he gets zoomed in on, yes, they are standing right next to each other.
Because you never see them like looking at the camera at the same time.
Yeah, my favorite.
You just see them looking at each other from the backsides of their heads.
I mean, it isn't over the shoulder. It is possible that they filmed it on different days, and they just had someone stand in for Pertwee's shoulder. It would be kind of funny if that was what they did.
I think that's what they did.
I also enjoy that the third Doctor is just like, why are you dressed like that? Because he's in like a suit and a derby hat. And he's got or a bowler hat, and he's got like a cane. He's like, why are you dressed like that? He's just like, some of us like to be more conspicuous. And he's like looking over the Doctor's velvet suit, unlike others. And I'm like, yeah, conspicuous, like floating in midair.
With sound effects. Speaking of sound effects, though, I love all of them.
Yes.
All of them are so good. I believe, because Delia Derbyshire did the theme song, but as for these sounds in the shows, I don't think that she contributes much, but I do believe Dick Mills is responsible for that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
because he worked alongside her at the radiophonic workshop.
Yeah, a lot of beeps and bloops.
All very musique concrete is the phrase. But just a lot of practical sound effects. Yeah, practical but altered in ways using tape recorders and, slowing things down, speeding things up, splicing things together. Did a whole episode on this. But it's one of my favorite hallmarks of 70s television, especially stuff like this that does take place in a more fantastical setting.
Let's still focus a little bit on the Master, because we won't get to talk about it much because, like I said, Delgado passed away.
So he doesn't come back ever.
Yeah, I mean, Delgado certainly can't.
Well, no.
Yeah, no, but he unfortunately died before they could do any kind of regeneration on screen. He clearly just sort of showed up to fight the Doctor.
To ruin the Doctor's day,
yeah,
yes.
Like he didn't seem to have any ulterior motive. He wasn't doing anything for personal gain. He was just like, I don't like you, Doctor, and you like the humans, so I'm going to blow their planet up. I'm going to drive this entire country to ruin with plastic daffodils. And then I'm going to summon Plastic God.
Yeah, I mean, that just kind of feels like his motive.
Yeah, and that's...
Like, there's no reason for the Master to be working with the Autons.
So, yes, and the Master is just bonkers. Like, his reasoning for everything is insane. Like, especially because all the Doctor has to say is, hey, did you think about what happens after the Autons show up? Do you think they're really going to let you live? Or they're going to differentiate between you and me? And he's like, oh, fuck. Yes, hang on. Let me press the dials with you as we reverse the polarity together.
Same energy as, why are you barking? There's nothing outside. Why are you barking?
Yeah, the Matt, yeah, God, he's so ridiculous. But yes,
I stand by. The Master is a chihuahua.
Yeah. What did you think about the story as a whole? How did you feel about Terror of the Autons, especially in comparison to our other classic show that we've seen, Genesis of the Daleks?
I generally liked the pacing of this one a little bit more.
Okay. It is a couple episodes shorter, which helps.
Yeah, certainly. But, that only helps to pat my argument of I prefer the pacing of this. Mm-hmm. After I understood that they were in two separate locations and not in one shared space. Mm-hmm. Understood it a little bit better, especially since I also wasn't anticipating so many other companions, I suppose. So
many allies, and and a lot of locations at that. Like, you go to someone's house, you go to this factory.
We start the whole damn thing in a circus.
Yeah, where his TARDIS shows up as a horse cart. Not a horse cart. What do they call it? A horse van?
Horse box?
Yeah, a horse box. That is what they call it.
Yeah, because it sounded like lunchbox. Also, lunchbox, little guy in a lunchbox. Never, ever see him again.
They never establish what they do with him.
No.
He gets shrunk by the Master's, I don't know what it is.
Evil sonic screwdriver.
His
it's evil because it's red.
And it makes you small. It's like his
well, he
his
didn't,
sonic Allen wrench.
He forgot to reverse the polarity up to Wumbo.
And also, just I feel like having the two villains they're like both doing their own things. Like, yeah, they're connected obviously, but because there's this two factions, they can just do more things. I generally think that Genesis of the Daleks is a better story, but there's something about, especially with the particular cheese going on here. It
was simple in a way that my post-work brain could understand and wrap my head around.
Well, I would love if we could dig into the details here. I don't want to have this episode go on too long, and I feel like really these dips into the classic series are way more about you getting the vibe of both the Doctor and their era. And, if you're really interested, maybe we can come back, because there was another story this this season even, that I really wanted to show, but this one I thought would be a better introduction.
Is it because of the suffocating evil chair?
The suffocating evil chair was definitely one of those where I'm like, oh, Cassie's going to like it. But this episode also introduces Joe. It introduces the Master and the fact that he can hypnotize people. So I don't need to have to explain all that to you as I would have had to at a later episode. This one, like I said, a lot of it stood on its own. I do have one last question for you, though. As we've hopefully posted on Instagram by now, you recently cosplayed as the Fourth Doctor to Ren Fair.
I did. I was trying to make it a pun of Dr. Hoobit, but I didn't have time to make the big old feet, so I just wore...
fuzzy slippers.
Yeah, which, was supposed to be like the fuzzy Hobbit feet. Nobody got that angle, so it was just kind of the Fourth Doctor wearing fuzzy slippers, but also that's not...
That's his vibe.
That's not a doctor thing to do.
If you were to choose,
choose,
which of the Doctors would you rather cosplay right now? The Third Doctor or the Fourth Doctor that you've already made?
I don't know. It's an interesting question because I do like the simplicity of Tom Baker's outfit because the only reason I decided to throw that together is because I learned how to crochet so I could make the scarf. A very helpful skill in that. And everything else I already kind of had.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was thinking about this too, because you have
I
quite a bit of, like, you've got a lot of poofy shirts, you've got some velvet attire. Like, obviously you don't have every piece here, but there's still...
I mean, this is one of the first times, too, I think I've seen the Doctor wear black regularly, aside from Eggleston.
Yeah, Eggleston wore that black leather jacket all the time.
I like the kitsch of the big dumb hat and the long scarf.
That's fair. Yeah, that was more of a personal curiosity than anything else.
That, to me, feels way more like a costume. When you look at that, all of the pieces don't really go together. That's not really something that...
I mean, in a very literal sense, because a lot of Tom Baker's underclothes were just Tom Baker's clothes that they threw the other pieces on top of.
Like, everything put together was made that particular outfit. This Doctor's outfit doesn't feel quite so doctory, though. It does feel very magician.
Yeah, it also
very
cuts...
vampy.
It cuts a nice silhouette, too. There were a couple times where we got, like, the Doctor further in the background.
But I think that if you were to go... dressed as this Doctor, it'd be a little bit harder to tell. Whereas going dressed as the Fourth Doctor, everybody who knew stopped me and said something to me, which is wonderful. I loved it. I loved every second of that. I liked it so much that Haley and I are going to a drawing event. Dressing up is not mandatory, but encouraged. I think I might just go as the Fourth Doctor, because now I have a cosplay that I can wear anywhere, because I've discovered I understand now why people wear Doctor Who cosplays. And that's because those bitches can be worn freaking anywhere at any time, and people go, oh, I like that outfit. It's not like when you go to an anime convention dressed up as a Teen Titan, where people are you still recognize.
And I think it's because, like, Doctor Who is really popular. Like, it's clearly one of the most popular things the BBC has ever put out.
But also, it doesn't not make sense for the Doctor to be present at an anime convention, at the zoo, at the Ren Fair. Like, he really does he can kind of go wherever he wants, kind of like Waldo.
Yeah, I also think it's just like because it's like a little bit, everyone's a little bit into it. It's one thing that everybody gets excited when they recognize.
Even when I rewind back to the beginning, my earliest exposure to Doctor Who was people at conventions, and I don't go to a lot of conventions that are like, oh, here's just basic nerd stuff. They usually were specifically anime or comic book
or Ren Fair, like we went to with this.
or Ren Fair. And it's the fact that at any one of those places you would find a Doctor cosplay or a Dalek or even a TARDIS. So it's just it's nice to now, like, get it. I totally get it now.
Yeah, it is fun, and I'm glad that you're on board, especially because when we get back next time, we're going to start, I think, one of the most solid chunks of episodes in the series run. Like we've got 6 episodes left this season, and I think all 6 of them are great.
Oh, so, really?
So especially one coming up that some people know about, but that we're not going to that one just yet. But we will be back next time, back with David Tennant on the next episode of Who Is My Doctor?
Who is my doctor? I was trying to do a dog thing. It didn't work. Who's my doctor?
Who is indeed? Who is my doctor?
Ow!
And that was our second trip into the classic series. Which classic Doctor do you think we should visit next? I'm pretty partial to the 7th Doctor, but I think Cassie might really like some of the sets and costumes from the first Doctor's era. Be sure to let us know what you'd like on social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram at WimDpod. That's WIMDPOD. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to this podcast so you get new episodes as they come out, and please give us 5 stars or a like to help the algorithm lead us to more Whovians. Next week, we meet the family of Blood and learn of a strange pocket watch. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday, because your Tuesdays are now Who's Days. See you then.